Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
I really appreciate your participation with the Build Out live stream every Wednesday at noon Eastern Daylight Time. The stream will be starting in just 1 minute. In the meantime, let me take this opportunity to talk to you about the live streaming studio that I use to stream Build Out with Jim Kunkel. StreamYard is a live streaming browser-based studio that allows you to interview guests, share your screen, and much more. With StreamYard, you can multi-stream directly to your website, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and for those who qualify, live stream here on LinkedIn. So now's the time to start live streaming. In the event post and on the video description is a referral link for a $10 credit when you become a paid subscriber to StreamYard. Today on Build Out, my guest is Lee Wilson. Lee is a technical director with Corrtech, a corrosion control and engineering firm based out of South Shields, England. Lee is here to provide his professional expertise and experience on a topic of skilled trade careers. Okay, let's get the conversation with Lee started. Hey, welcome to Build Out. I'm Jim Kunkel, and joining me today is Lee Wilson from the UK. Lee, welcome to the broadcast.
Hi, Jim. It's great to be here, and thank you very much for the invite.
No, I appreciate it. And we're going to be, before we talk about the topic of skilled trade careers, if you could provide your professional background and talk a little bit about your firm, what you guys do.
Okay, I've been in the industry for 25 years. Started off as a service preparator, applicator, moved into supervision, inspection, consultancy, corrosion engineering, corrosion management, NACE Level 3, Fellow of the Institute of Corrosion, author of the Paint Inspectors Field Guide 1 and 2, NACE Senior Corrosion Technologist, as well as a chartered engineer in corrosion specialist. So, you know, I've been around the world, traveled the globe. We specify coating systems. We do a lot of work with CUI, corrosion mitigation, corrosion control, and the company, you know, its core business is protective coat inspection. However, you know, anything in regards to corrosion, Corrtech are here to solve the issues.
Yeah, and your firm does a lot of work related to infrastructure, the energy sector, oil and gas, offshore, and things like that, correct?
Correct. Obviously, hailing from the northeast of England, we were firstly involved in the marine industry, which pretty much was our heritage. We then moved into oil and gas, which was because unfortunately the shipyards in the northeast of England closed down, and then ultimately, you know, we followed in new build construction in Asia, as well as globally, and been on fabric maintenance projects across the world, the Middle East, Africa, as well as pipeline engineering, pipeline corrosion, and field joint coating applications. So, you know, there's a multitude of projects that we've covered.
And you're also a technical author, and you have a best-selling book out right now. What's the book's title, and what's it about?
Well, the book was the first one was originally wrote in 2012, Jim. It was a huge success. It was a bestseller, hailed by JPCL and SSPC. Sold over 10,000 copies. What happened was obviously the standards changes were well aware of. So the book had to change because the book referenced the standards, which had become obsolete. So it took a lot of time and a lot of research to get back get the book back into current standard legislation, to keep it up to date, which it has to be. We have to follow the specifications and the standards which are current, and that's why the second one was done. And as well as that, we also introduced a lot of new chapters, such as thermospray aluminium, corrosion surveying, which is becoming predominant now due to the lack of fabric maintenance, which has been carried out on oil rigs due to the in my opinion, the neglect of infrastructure.
Excellent. I appreciate you sharing all that background and information on your publication. So let's go ahead and let's talk about, we're talking about infrastructure, skilled trade careers. You and I could probably spend a 24-hour broadcast talking about trade careers. Let's focus more like related to infrastructure. We could talk about, obviously, with our backgrounds professionally, looking at the professions such as welding, electrician, when it comes to abrasive blasters or the industrial coater, and talk about those particular trades. Right now, you're working on lots of projects. Where are some of the high demands when it comes to infrastructure that you see for positions, for skilled trade positions?
In the marine sector, obviously we've just had a pandemic, Jim, so everything was sort of put on hold, especially fabric maintenance projects, which were well due and well back in any ways. Companies weren't focusing upon that. We've now had an additional 2 years of no fabric maintenance, so there's going to be I hope. The HSE are now coming down strongly upon some of the leading oil and gas majors in regards to what their current plans are in regards to corrosion management. Shipbuilding is picking up, especially in the Far East. We're seeing big orders coming from Europe for LNG, LPG vessels. The Middle East's picking up. So it's slow still, but projects are arising slowly but surely. The problem that we're having is, do we have the manpower once everything, because at some point everything is going to have to come together. This project's been put on hold for over 3 years now, waiting for the Brexit as well as the pandemic to sort itself out, and they're going to have to be executed soon. And what we now have to ask is, do we have the skilled trades, the skilled tradesmen, and the skilled trade set to carry out this work?
Yeah, because when we really look at what's going on with skilled trades, prior to the pandemic, we had a situation globally where it seemed to be a challenge finding skilled craft workers, or even getting the younger generation to get into apprenticeship and go through the process. So the pandemic hits, and we're relying a lot on the baby boomers to do skilled trade. And as everyone knows, the pandemic hit hard in that baby boomer side. And then on the baby boomers, they also decided, hey, this might be an opportunity now for me to go ahead and exit out and retire. And instead of working an extra couple of years, they just decided to hang it up. And that also put more pressure when it comes to the skilled trades. What are some of the, I guess I would say, trades that you would recommend workers, the younger generation, to look at as a profession?
I mean, historically, a tradesman or a tradesperson or a skilled worker that specialises in a particular trade, occupation, or field of work, tradesmen usually have work experience or on-the-job training, and often formal education, in contrast to an apprentice who is learning the trade. So simply, it was hands-on experience as well as certification and qualification. The apprentice schemes were set up for that, and they used to last 2 or 3 years. So, the guy would come out as a tradesman because he had experienced both the educational side and the hands-on experience side. Now, we have many skilled trades, for this build out, as you've said, we'll focus upon the oil and gas and marine industry and infrastructure, as a lot of our viewers are probably watching because of those typical trades. I mean, skilled trades, in one opinion, is historically in our field, it based greatly from the First and Second World Wars, when the demand for welders, platers, fabricators, painters were in high demand. For example, my hometown, which I told you about, in the northeast of England, was formed by two main skilled trades. It was the mining industry at first, and in the shipbuilding industry. And this helped greatly with transportation and military use, which unfortunately the guys were still not recognized as skilled tradesmen. And unfortunately, back in the 1900s, they weren't recognized. And it was these workforces working towards skilled tradesman level which provided the skill to build some of the greatest vessels that left the UK from the Rivers Tyne and, of course, the Clyde up in Glasgow, and fueled the country's infrastructure and changed and shaped the globe as we know it. It could have went, the total opposite way. But even then, the trades that we're talking about, they weren't classed as skilled tradesmen. Now, thankfully, after the war, these trades were becoming to be more recognised as skilled trades, and the advantages were clear to see. I mean, apprenticeship schemes were developed in shipyards to provide a level of skill handed down from the non-certified skilled tradesmen and formed institutes who had the experience during those eras. And this formed institutes such as city and guilds, which started to recognise that the trades were skilled and the men skilled tradesmen, and that an emphasis upon certification should be put in place with the experience that they had. So then it was going hand in hand. They were getting the knowledge, they were getting the education, and they were getting the hands-on experience all at the same time. And it was, it was great. It was subsidized by, let's take shipyards. It was subsidized by the shipyards. It was subsidized by governments. So the guys were winning because they were getting a wage out of it. And it was great. It was a great time, and we've seen many great tradesmen evolve during these areas. The steelmen, the welders, the platers, the fabricators, they came first. They were the guys that really started, to get the setup and the recognition of the tradesmen. They came first, and it was closely followed by the blasters and painters, who we were usually left behind. It was just the paint, as the old saying going. And what happened was, certain locations where work was ongoing and when work was beginning to dry up, whom was the first to go? It was the painters and the blasters. So the apprenticeship scheme stopped, and the blasters, painters ended up on the unemployment line, unfortunately. And, it's a great shame, because watching a skilled sprayer is like watching, in my opinion, poetry in motion. And the skill of a sprayer was were typically, especially in the northeast of England where I'm from, they were handed down through generations, just as was the welders and the platers and the fabricators. And the older the generation teaching the new generation the tricks of the trade. So I think that answers the first topic for you, Jim, unless you want to emphasize even further.
No, that definitely does. And prior to the broadcast, you and I were commenting on a post that someone had actually shared the link to this broadcast today regarding apprenticeships, and the individual was involved in the aspect of university, but also in the aspect of running or being involved with apprenticeships and trade schools. And so the discussion, the comment that was made was, why did we ease off of pushing on the younger generation to look at the trades as a career opportunity, but also too, we need to, now we're playing catch up. We're kind of behind and we're suffering because of that. Eleni Anastos had posted here, being a big advocate for skilled trades, and that it's important to introduce this work to individuals in the school setting too. And it really, really comes to that. We really want to look at promoting that. I remember in school, I had to take shop classes. You had industrial shop class, you had woodworking, you had these different types of things. But then also too, there was things that you would take that might be related to professional typing classes or, computer classes and things like that. I'm 55, so I'm just, a little beyond the baby boomer time frame, born in 66, that boomers go to 64. So, not to date anybody's age here or anything like that, but I've already kind of done that. But the thing to look at is I remember schools were promoting when I was going through high school, they were promoting trades. And, my grandfather worked in the steel mill and, he talked about trades. I ultimately went to college and went on for a master's degree. Both my adult daughters went for college degrees and, they're doing very well professionally through university and going postgraduate and everything like that. We really need to focus on talking to this younger generation, because here's when you look at it, there's an opportunity for them. The baby boomers have retired. They're retiring. There's a huge demand. There's a need for these skilled trades. There are trade schools. There are apprenticeship programs to learn it. And a lot of these positions are paying very good money. In fact, the career exploration program is a nonprofit organization, and they had done some surveying recently, as we're coming out of the pandemic right now, where they find that some of the careers actually are paying better than professional careers where people have gone to college. So there's a great opportunity to make a good family sustaining wage, make a living. And the other thing I found interesting with a survey that they had done, they had gone to parents. I guess they had found a sample size of parents that had children who were in high school age. And the survey came back that, 90% of those parents supported the decision of their young adults who are going to be going into work to pursue the trades. So it's great to see that mindset changing and to promote the trades, and also to focus on trade schools and things like that. Because when we're looking at infrastructure here domestically here in the United States, let's say in North America, we have bridges that are going through corrosion challenges. Some have potential failures structurally and, structurally not there. But we also have things from, ship, oil and gas, pipeline. We've got so much infrastructure, and that's where the high demand is when it comes to the skilled trades. I'm sure it's the same thing with the UK and throughout Europe as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And to cover your first point, when you mentioned the study from the academic individual from the university who's carried out the study, which is cost research. I would assume he had a research budget to carry this out. It's proved my point really that we are lagging in regards to tradesmen. And his survey has found that out, which I'm quite proud of, because I've been seeing it from a very high height that we are lagging. And what happens is when we lack that skilled trade, we also lack the quality required to support the infrastructure, and we end up with major catastrophes. We've seen many, Jim. We've discussed this on many occasions in regards to refineries going up, bridges collapsing, etc., etc. And then this is what we're trying to avoid. Now we can't avoid that by getting someone who is unskilled to carry out a skilled process. Now you've asked a few intriguing questions, Jim, and there are many reasons for becoming a skilled tradesman, particularly in the advancement of the industry, which has been driven by the oil and gas industry, the HSE and OSHA requirements. And there are a great deal of skilled tradesmen retiring and leaving the industry, creating a void due to the lack of apprentices, and the UK and the US work being handed to other careers where labour is cheaper. And that's still happening, and in that is having a major impact. Why should we? The way the government's seeing it is, why should we trade guys here when we can get guys, in other countries, which will build for far less, however, not at the quality requirements that we would require, nor the standard requirements. And hopefully there's going to be an end to that, especially with Brexit and an outcry by the general public to bring more work back into the UK and the USA as opposed to outsourcing. So that may help. I mean, labour is cheaper in other countries, but the tradesmanship level is not the same, and that's not to be degrading in any way, shape, or form. But you also discussed about college training at a very, very early age. Great idea. I fully support it. I had my nephew reading one of my books last week, and if he can read it, it got over 10,000 hits on LinkedIn actually, and it was great. I don't think you read it. You just looked at the pictures, Jim, to tell you the truth. But it's things like that we should be doing. We should be saying, look, this is where ultimately you're going to end up working. These are the areas that will require labor, skilled tradesmen. Let's get you educated at an early age. College, start the apprentice schemes back up. Get the government subsidising like they used to. Get the shipyards doing subsidising on apprenticeships. Some have started. Great. It's great to see. I know A&P have just started one. There's another Corrosion Institute that are also banging on with that, and I believe there's others also looking at the same ideas. And I think it's a necessity that we do that, because, as you say, we've lost, not only through the pandemic, but because of guys retiring. I mean, I know of even younger guys, lower than retirement age, who have, during the pandemic, the lack of work, and seeing people coming into the industry who are not okay, they might have a qualification, but they don't know what they're doing, but they're getting the work. And these guys who've spent 30, 40 years know exactly what they're doing, can't get a job, and they went, that's me, I'm done, So there's that major leap between qualification, certification, hands-on experience, and it all needs to come together as one. And early training is absolutely essential. Another major reason the industry needs tradesmen is aging infrastructure. It's not just the tradesmen getting old, the infrastructure is getting old. The bridges getting old, they're going to need maintained. Oil rigs going to need maintained. Vessels, they're going to need maintained. So where is the skill? Where is it? We need the guys, the proper tradesmen who can really do the job. And it's essential that this happen. I mean, there's a huge gap now on. There is, with courses. I'll not mention names, but There's many courses out there, but does a course make you a tradesman? Absolutely not. We have to have that combination of hands-on experience, hands-on education, and a mindset of what we're going to do, an outlook, a vision of saying, right, okay, I want to go into welding, so I'm going to really, really study the welding side, the plating side, the coating side, the inspection side. The knowledge is there. The knowledge is there. It can be picked up, but it needs to be. It needs to be. Everyone needs to be involved. From government level, society level, corrosion society levels, and individual levels, colleges. You talk, as I said, mentioned, you talked about university. A lot of people don't have the money to put their children through university because of the fact that they can't get to work to get the trade. Jim, let's face facts. That's the way that the industry is now at this moment in time. I've had this conversation with your good self on many occasions, and there's a lot of controversy in regards to education versus experience, and it's all over LinkedIn all the time, and we often see the complaints and the arguments, and plain and simply, it's a case of what came first, the chicken or the egg. It's as simple as that. And that's what we need to eliminate. Put them both together. There is no chicken, there is no egg, or there is a chicken and then there is an egg. Let's connect them. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I mean, if you look at it, the future of our industry, the oil booms in the 70s, 80s, and the early 90s were full of skilled tradesmen because there was that much work. There was that much work where apprenticeship schemes could be subsidised. The government knew they could fund, and everyone was working. You could walk out of one shipyard and walk into another as a tradesman. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So it's all went in my opinion, went hand in hand due to the dry docks becoming upmarket housing developments. For the rich to get richer and the poor to get poorer, and that's what happened. And now we're all suffering. I think skilled tradesmen are essential, and professional societies in some parts of the globe need to face this head on. I mean, let's face it, it's not going to be, in my opinion. It's not going to be every country in the world that's going to start going, let's get tradesmen, let's get apprenticeship schemes up and running again, because they still want to get orders due to cheap labor. So it's a big vicious circle, Jim.
It really is. And Lee, I appreciate all the insight you provide, and also to your experience. Let's go ahead and we'll cover the final topic, which is really about more or less promoting. How do we promote it? And I like John's post here. And it's great to see us focus on recruiting the next generation, but we need some tangible ways of doing it. Any ideas? And a couple things that even Lee, you were talking about this earlier. We need to obviously talk to the younger generation, both as parents and as adults or educators or tradespeople, and show them that there is a way for them not to go into debt by going through university and then going on for a master's or some other advanced degrees, to look at the trades as a very viable option for them, so that when they go from their high school years, go right into the apprenticeship programs, go through the trade schools, to show them that there is the capability of really making, as I mentioned earlier, a family sustaining wage, and that they can actually have a career. And, in our experience, both yours and mine, in the industries that we work in, we see that you can have someone who goes from being an abrasive blaster, a painter, They can go on and become eventually good into quality control, work their ways up the ranks, become maybe an inspector, and then one day maybe they become their own. They own their own inspection firm. So there is career paths that can lead from, being that craft worker to even a gateway into doing other professional jobs that might not be as hands-on, let's say, but it's still vital and important, and again, pays very well. And let me see here. I had somebody else, some of these other posts here. I apologize.
No problem.
Oh yeah, this is going to be one that was pointed out regarding offshore with the wind farms. There's these new, I don't want to call them new, but there's these emerging industries that are coming up that are going to have high demand for craft workers as well. And MJ had pointed out here too, her experience, one of her manufacturers she worked with created an apprenticeship program with the intent that seasoned workers could mentor. And that would be my second point to throw out there, is that another way is through mentorships. And, I've had experience working with mentors. I've had a chance to be a mentor myself. But, I would imagine, you see a lot of value in the mentorship programs that are available out there through different associations, organizations, or even some of the industry trades.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And, I fully agree with the comments that have been said there. Education is it's essential in our industry. Is there enough education to be a tradesman? I don't think there is. I don't think the apprenticeship schemes were coupled both, as I've said over and over again, the hands-on experience and the philosophical, the philosophy side of the industry. And I mean, there is great who desire to become tradesmen. And I mean, we've mentioned the cost, unemployability. They're going out doing a 3 or 4 year apprenticeship. They've got no money income. How long is that going to last? It takes it out of them. They don't want to do it. It's not something that attracts them towards becoming a tradesman. I remember one time you didn't have to be a tradesman in the industry. You just had to be related to a manager on a project or part of his family, and you were in the door. And unfortunately, that seems to have changed to an extent. Some people may disagree with me, but that was the case. But there are ways to improve, and many mentioned societies. Well, not mentioned societies, but I think we all know who some of the main societies within the industry are. Could provide one-to-one mentoring. People who are willing. We have specialists, people who are willing to take their time out and do classes on, mentoring, or take the show on the road, an apprentice show on the road, exhibitions, Jim. We have massive exhibitions across the globe in regards to conferences and, promoting and all the rest of it. Why not have one for kids, where you have like little experiments, which will bring them towards, oh wow, how's that happening, and give them interest, intrigue in what we're trying to do and why we're doing it, and it's stuff like that we need to be doing. I mean, getting students at a far younger age into what ultimately they're going to be doing. I think it's essential. I mean, internet promotion is one of the main benefits. Companies they can promote. Companies should be banding together to say, okay, where are we lacking? And start coming up with a general consensus upon building trades.
Yeah. I
Go on.
think that's a great point. And some of the other recommendations too that I see is, embracing some of the VR, let's say the hands-on, the simulation, the gamification. A lot of the younger generation, obviously, if they're playing video games or they're related, they're doing a lot of things more with VR. You could do a virtual welder, virtual painter, and those devices do exist out there. And earlier with Eleni talked about, I think, is having the road shows, but also having that introduction at the school level. I've always wanted to see programs where we talk to grade schoolers, even high schoolers, about the importance of infrastructure. Why are bridges, roads, and the power grid important? And why do we need to maintain them? Why do we need to make sure that we are able to repair them and replace them when they need to be? And have them kind of understand that. The sciences that you talk about, you have STEM programs and things like that. There could be kind of a version of STEM that would be used for the trades as well. And then the other thing too is social media. Making, if you want to attract people to become welders, point out the great aspects of welders, and also too, show what they do. I always love the videos of projects that are being done, and you see, all the sparks going off, and that's progress, and that might be a very interesting job for someone who might not even know what a welder does when they get to see what a welder does and the importance of a welder. And then when they explore a little bit more about, well, if I become someone who is, I've gone through the ranks, I've gone through the apprenticeship, I'm now, certified as a welder, and now I have an opportunity to really, really help the infrastructure, either build it or repair it. But also too, I have an opportunity here to have a family sustaining wage and build a career out of it. That's the ultimate goal, is to showcase that to this younger generation, then versus just go to school or go through a trade.
Of course, and simple experiments, taking two bits of steel, placing one in ionized water, one in salt water, and watching the corrosion rates. And they come the next day and they go, wow, what's happened? It's things like that that intrigue, motivate. They then start thinking, what about what's the science behind this? You know what I mean? And that can be all incorporated into the mainstream curriculum. You know what I mean? So there's ways of it to actually to build into what is a national curriculum, ways of showing them what the aspects of a tradesman will require. I mean, to face facts, we have levels of education, Jim, as you're well aware, from experts to engineers, inspectors, supervisors, foremen, and with everyone wanting to become inspectors. That's what happened in our industry. They wanted to skip all of the rest out and go straight from painting into inspection, and it created a major loss in the engineering sector and the design stage, and it created mayhem, and hopefully that's now it seems to be getting addressed, with a lot of issues, and it's a stage process, and that is what is required, and that's what the apprentice schemes, that's what they gave us to reach that tradesman level, and it was unique, it was brilliant, and it worked well, and hence the reason why some of the best infrastructure was created around about the time when we had those tradesmen, if we look at historical facts.
Very good, very good. Lee, like I said earlier at the beginning of the broadcast, I think you and I could really spend some time talking about additional topics and really kind of exploring further out into skilled trades. What I'd like to do is offer an opportunity for you and I to get back together, and maybe we could focus on some other specific aspects of this particular topic, if you're okay with that.
Jim, absolutely. There's so much to talk about in regards to what we've. I think we've just covered some of the briefs of it.
Yeah.
But there's a hell of a lot more when we're talking about university academics talking about it. After we've spoke about it, it's showing that people are now starting to they're starting to accept. Yes, we have this massive problem with future infrastructure quality, and it's only going to get worse, Jim. It can't get any better unless we do something about it. So I'm well up for having any further discussions with your good self.
Excellent. I really appreciate the post that we had. Very good comments. And so everyone watching this broadcast right now, I really greatly appreciate the information, the feedback, and the comments that you posted. So Lee, let me do a preview for next week. Next week's topic, Wednesday at noon Eastern Daylight Time, language translation as a tool to increase sales. We're going to actually have a professional technical translator on from Italy, and we're going to be talking about technical language translation. Very important topic, especially if you're dealing with products, services, or goods that have a technical nature to them. You just can't get anybody to do the language translations. You agree with that, Lee?
Well, it's to tell you the truth, I usually use the universal sign language, Jim, and it tends to get us a long way. But in regards to translation, a lot of standards are wrote in one English. Some standards, ISO 8501, were wrote in a multitude of standards. But some of the industries where business is booming or taking off, they're not translated. So you either hire a translator to translate to 1,000 welders, painters, busters, and painters, build a vessel, or we change the standard. One of the two.
Yeah, I had asked that question because you're a technical writer, and I know
Well,
the
she
different.
can translate my book as well, and it was in many languages as she wants.
Very
I'll
good.
take you tuning in.
Lee, I so greatly appreciate this opportunity to have a conversation with you. How do people get in contact with you? What's the best way to reach you?
They can get me on Wilson Lee 78 at outlook.com. We're just in the process of, we've just changed offices, Jim. So we're getting we've got lots going on at the moment. So getting websites developed. So we will have the professional website up and running soon, so they can get us direct. But all they've got to do is just click on me on LinkedIn. I'll connect, send a message. I can send me telephone number. I do a lot of consultation, a lot of it for free sometimes. I'm going to have to stop that.
Yeah, you do some free consulting for me too, and I appreciate that.
All right, Jim, it's all right.
It's just it's an industry thing. We're all brothers and sisters working in a global industry, so we all have to pull together.
Absolutely, and that's what it's all about, my good friend and esteemed colleague.
All right, well, Lee, thank you very much. Hey, have a good rest of your day, and I appreciate you coming on the stream today.
Thank you very much. Well, I spent all day at El Commenter today, so it's been a rough one for me. So, but it's been a good way to unwind. So I'm going to have a beer now, Jim, just for you, my good friend.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, everybody, I appreciate it, and make sure to. I should make this a quick announcement. Tomorrow evening at 7:30 Eastern Daylight Time, Build Out will have a Halloween special. It's going to be called Workplace Horror Stories. And because of viewers like all of you watching, we've got some really good horror stories. And they're not the bad kind. They're really fun to talk about. And so we're going to be featuring those tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time with my co-host Heidi Brooks and also Mike Lamont. So everybody have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you tomorrow evening.
See you tomorrow evening, Jim.
Excellent.